I love this part of New York. I love this part of the country. I've been very lucky to be able to do art as well as to be a professional astronomer. I did my first solar eclipse poster back in 2012 for some national parks out in the Southwest.
No way.
And when the 2017 Great American Eclipse crossed the US, I had worked with about 30 different communities all across the path of totality. I thought that was really neat. What a wonderful thing to be able to do, to help share with the public. And then in 2020, the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum sent me a letter asking if they could acquire those for their permanent collection. Who knew as an astronomer I'd wind up in the Smithsonian for my artwork? And when Rochester reached out to me, when Deb first said, this is going to be the place where the eclipse is best in New York, what a wonderful thing to be able to do, especially because there was so much optics in this. I thought, hey, I did my thesis with optics. Yay! And what you see right here is the very first poster commissioned by Rochester for the 2024 eclipse. And in it, I sought to capture the elements that made Rochester famous. So you've got optics. Every one of these elements within the lettering is an optical element, a different type of lens. You have the play of light from white light into the rainbow. All of this is to capture that optical history of Rochester, especially that grand time of the 1950s with sort of the mid-century modern look here, in which Rochester was ascendant with companies absolutely pushing back the envelope of what was possible in optical technology. Niagara Falls, state park right in the path of totality, one of the most spectacular places to see the eclipse. It'll be a multi-sensory experience if you stand there on the American side of the falls and look out and see the eclipse overhead. And the Finger Lakes, this is where I live. I live down in Ithaca. We're going to have the eclipse coming over this beautiful rolling countryside with these glacier-carved lakes, towns inside the path of totality and outside this, again, long agricultural tourist history of the region. It's a poster I did for NASA for that 2017 Great American Eclipse. This was the most popular poster I did. You could find it everywhere, and it was one of the key pieces in what the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum acquired in 2020. Did this one for the National Park Service, modeled on the old National Parks WPA posters from the 1930s. Every single national park and monument in the United States got some part of that eclipse that day, with many great parks within the path of totality. Grand Teton being the most spectacular. Beautiful clear skies that day. Great Smoky Mountains. Beautiful, the most visited national park in the entire national park system, right on the border between Tennessee and North Carolina. And then these two posters. These were the original posters I did for the 2017 eclipse, capturing what all the states were, from coast to coast. The first time in 99 years, a total solar eclipse had crossed the entire country. And where I grew up, in Oregon, capturing that wonderful sort of hippie music venue concert vibe that I grew up with back in the 70s. Back to the 2024, where the 17 eclipse went through national parks and rural towns. This one's going over cities. So I wanted to capture the feeling of what it was like to be standing in the middle of a city with 10,000 of your closest friends around you at the moment the eclipse becomes total. Over here we've got Rochester, and capturing High Falls and the Lilac Festivals. Rochester is the flower city. So this one is really all about Rochester and what it is today. A vibrant city with a beautiful, beautiful downtown. This poster captures the fact that a good portion, almost half of the Erie Canal, is within the path of totality, all the way from Canal Side and Buffalo to Syracuse and Rochester, and so many amazing little towns in between. I love the Erie Canal, and to be able to capture the feeling of standing along that canal and on the day of totality, see the sun and the corona reflected in the water, and think about what a part of history we're experiencing with both the eclipse and being in this place that was so integral to making New York the Empire State. This has been a pleasure to design. And as you can see, along the border here are all the little towns from Buffalo all the way past Syracuse in the path of totality, and exactly how long you can experience totality in each and every one of them. Once again, thank you so much for coming out. This is an absolute delight.
Thank you so much for coming, everybody. It's going to be an amazing year. All right, so.